Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Griffin. I am the Educational Programs Lead for the Delaware Center for Translational Research. And today I'm going to talk to you about finding funding opportunities for new investigators. So the learning objectives for today's session, by the end of the session, I'm hoping you'll be able to identify major funding sources, find opportunities efficiently, evaluate whether a grant is a good fit for your research program, develop an overall funding strategy for your research, and build relationships with program officers. So before you start searching for funding opportunities, you want to ask yourself, what is my research program about? Instead of asking, what grants can I find? So successful investigators build research programs first, and then they find funding that supports the program, not the other way around. So let's talk about where research funding comes from. So there's several categories, some of which are included on this slide. So federal agencies are the main one that you will hear about a lot. There are private foundations. There are professional societies. There's internal institutional funding, and then industry and community partners. So what are some of the major federal funding agencies? National Institutes of Health is the main one that I've used personally for funding my own research. The National Science Foundation supports basic science. Other institutes, Department of Defense, Center for Disease Control, are also government agencies. Then Health and Resources Service Administration also has grants available. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute. And there are more, but these are the major ones. Now, one useful tool that you might want to explore is grants.gov. So if you go to grants.gov, you'll find a comprehensive portal for U.S. federal funding opportunities. And it allows you to search across agencies. So all of those agencies that I mentioned on the previous slide, you'll be able to search in one website. And what I recommend is that you filter by certain categories. So you might filter by agency. I would keep agency open if I were you. But then you could filter by keywords for eligibility. So some grants are only eligible for investigators that have particular characteristics, like new investigator, for example. The status of the opportunity. So sometimes they will publish forecasted opportunities. So there are opportunities that are coming, upcoming opportunities. They'll be open and closed. So closed doesn't really give you much information except for what kinds of funding opportunities might appear in the far future, and so that might give you an idea of what opportunities are available, even though they're closed. The closing date, that tells you that can give you some clue as to how to organize your timeline if you're interested in opportunity. You can save searches and receive email notifications for new opportunities. So that way you're automating the process. You're not having to go in and remember to search grants.gov every week or something like that. You actually just get that information delivered to your inbox. So I'm going to show you a demo. So here's the grants.gov website. And I'm just going to put in something that I'm interested in, mindfulness-based interventions. And I'll search. And now you see that there is one opportunity that's forecasted from the National Institutes of Health, and then there's one opportunity that's open from the National Institutes of Health that fit that keyword. And so that's something that you could do. It won't be just National Institutes of Health that pops up here if there are opportunities available at different federal agencies that match your keyword. All right, so another source of possible funding is private foundations. And so some examples are the American Heart Association, the Alzheimer's Association, Autism Speaks, APA or APF, the Spencer Foundation, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. There are many different foundations, but these are just a few examples. And so in general, foundations will fund innovative pilot projects. So you may not need to submit preliminary data. It just has to be a good idea. Usually the projects are, the budgets are relatively small, but it gives you just enough money to collect some pilot data. And then internal funding, what I mean that it's not small, I mean that internal funding can be a really good source of to start your research program. And it's even though internal funding is a little bit less competitive than applying for a federal grant, it always is going to be competitive, and that means that it's always prestigious to get these internal funds. So some examples are seed grants, pilot grants, equipment awards to buy a piece of equipment that could allow you to collect that pilot data or the preliminary data. Course releases, so the MRDA, for example, can give you course releases. Graduate student support, so that you can support a grad student in the summer, for example, to run a project. And then internal funding can generate publications, it can help you build collaborations, and it can help you collect preliminary data. So don't forget about internal funding. That can be a really good way to launch your research program. So funding opportunities, there are some efficient ways to find them. So I already showed you grants.gov. Another source is NIH Reporter. So I'll show that demo in a second. There's a few other sources that I have listed here: Grant Forward, Pivot RP, and Foundation Directory. These will all allow you to do some searching, to have alerts set up using keywords, follow agencies, so you can follow certain agencies and subscribe to society newsletters. Okay, so once you find a possible funding opportunity, one thing to ask yourself is this grant a good fit? So questions you might want to ask: am I eligible as a PI? Does my science fit this program announcement or this request for proposals? Is the budget realistic? Will I be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish with this particular amount of money? Do I need to have preliminary data? And if so, do I have preliminary data? And am I able to complete this work with the resources that I currently have? So if you answer no to several of these questions, then just keep looking. Don't waste your time and your energy and the grants administration time and energy on a grant that's not going to be a good fit for your research program. All right, so here's the NIH Reporter demo that I wanted to show you. So NIH Reporter is a really useful tool. Here it is, and you can do a quick search. Again, I can put in mindfulness-based intervention, like I did for grants.gov, and I can search here. And what this gives me is the funded projects. So I can go down this list and see all of the different projects that have been funded that have a keyword that I'm interested in. So you can see there are several that matched my keyword. And the first thing I advise you to look at is the project, the type of project, the type of award. So anything with a K, that's going to be a mentored award. Anything with a T, that's a training grant. Anything with an R, that's a research grant. And so then if you go over to this column over here, that tells you the amount awarded, you can see that there's various sizes of awards. So that with the R awards, like this R01, having a larger budget than some of these smaller or training grants. Okay, so what you can do then is select one of these. I'll select this R01, and you can look at, oh, it's not loading. Okay, there it is. You can look at you can read the abstract that was prepared by the PI, who is this person. And you can read the public health relevant statement. You can see the keyword that triggered this being selected. And you can look at the opportunity number. So if you click on this, you can see what was the program announcement that this person responded to in order to get this funding. The institute was the National Institute of Mental Health. And the project timeline here, you can see the funding, the budget. You also can see publications, if there were any. There haven't been any yet for this particular project. In a really useful, in clinical studies. And then a really useful tool is way at the bottom here are similar projects. So you can find similar projects. Sometimes it would be the same investigator, sometimes not. And so that could lead you to learn some more information about what types of projects are funded that are in your research area. Okay, so what you may have heard is that it's a good idea to contact your program officer. But when do you do that? So what I recommend is contacting the program officer before you begin writing the whole proposal and after you've developed your specific aims. So if you have a specific aims draft, that's a good time to send that off to a program officer. And what you'll ask is my project a good fit? Which mechanism do you recommend? And ask if there are any upcoming opportunities that they might know about that maybe you haven't been able to find on the grants.gov. So some common mistakes that we see with grant proposal submission. One is chasing every opportunity. That is going to not be sustainable. So if you chase every opportunity and you apply for a bunch of grants that are not focused and relevant to your central research questions, then you're going to probably not be successful in obtaining that funding and really just be spinning your tires. So be selective about what opportunities really deserve your time and attention and your energy. Sometimes investigators will ignore eligibility. Eligibility requirements, especially when you're talking about federal agencies, can't be overlooked. There's no wiggle room. So if you're not eligible, then you've just wasted your time submitting a proposal that's not even going to be looked at. Waiting until deadlines appear. So this can, if you don't want to be in a kind of react mode when it comes to applying for funding. If you wait till deadlines appear, then you probably are not going to have enough time to develop the proposal. So as I showed you before, there are forecasted program announcements that you can find. So you can be proactive in finding opportunities that are upcoming, as well as have set deadlines. One of the big ones I boldface is writing without feedback. So this is a common issue, especially for junior investigators, because they might not want to bother a senior investigator to ask for feedback. But it's really worthwhile to get over that and ask somebody, your mentor, other faculty that are in your department, other people in your field, people that you know from your postdoc, and your maybe even your students and your trainees. So get lots of feedback on your writing, on your ideas. Another common mistake is applying too broadly. So that kind of goes hand in hand with chasing every opportunity, not focusing not focusing on your project, your research program ideas, and trying to apply to everything. It's just not going to be as successful. And then, of course, not giving yourself enough time. So applying too late, you're not going to have enough time to really think through the proposal and put forth the best product. In some cases, you only get one chance. Sometimes you get two chances, but it takes a long time to get feedback. And so you want that submission to be as perfect as possible, as close to perfect as possible. All right, so I made this little graphic that was supposed to look like a staircase. So with the first step being the idea. So building your funding pipeline starts with an idea, and then the idea leads to pilot data. And that pilot data can be used for a small grant, be that a foundation grant, an internal grant, and then that can lead to publications, hopefully multiple publications. And then that can lead to the larger grant, which helps you build your research program. And so that's the general pipeline, the general order of operations for building a research program. Some practical tips, not surprisingly, going off what I was just saying about giving yourself enough time, start early. Read the entire announcement. I often will read the announcement and make a checklist as I'm going so that I don't miss anything that is required for the submission. Talk to your colleagues, get tips, get some feedback on your ideas. Use your grants office, your grants administrator, find out who your grants administrator is and talk to them about what do they need and when. Tell them what grant you're applying for. Send them the program announcement so that they can see, they can read the announcement as well. They might catch something that you don't. Now, if you have the opportunity, I would suggest joining a review panel at an institute, a federal agency, a foundation, or even an internal review panel. That way you can sit next to other reviewers and you can hear what they have to say. And it's very enlightening to serve on a review panel because you get that perspective, what it's like to be on the other side of a grant proposal. Another practical tip, which is very hard to follow, easy to say, is expect rejection. So rejection is the name of the game. Most proposals don't get funded on the first try, sadly. And so really, if you are if you are getting discouraged every time you get a rejection, that's going to really stall your progress. And so, it stings a little bit to get that rejection, but then you can allow it to sting for a day or two, and then just pick yourself back up, revise, and resubmit. And you just keep doing that, and if your persistence will pay off, if you just keep trying and just hold steady to that idea, that program, that research trajectory that you believe in. And if you believe in it, you will eventually get it funded. Okay, so some final takeaways here. How to develop a research program. You want to diversify funding, so don't just stick to the federal agencies. You want to have a combination of foundations, federal agencies, internal funding, and at different stages, tailored to what that funding mechanism is designed to do, the budget of that funding mechanism. So have a lot of different ways of funding your research, so you have some backup. Learn from funded grants. So that's where NIH Reporter is really useful. You can look and see what grants have been funded successfully that are in your research area. Building relationships with not only your program officer, but maybe reaching out to some of those folks that you found on NIH Reporter that are doing similar work to you. People at conferences, colleagues that you know from your advisor, from grad school, from your postdoc. Have those, really keep nurturing those relationships. You never know where a conversation might lead. And then just keep submitting. So submitting proposals becomes just a routine. Every cycle you're submitting some proposals. And that's just part of your job. That's part of what you're doing as a researcher, is submitting proposals. And each proposal that you submit, you're going to learn more. And you're going to get better and better at writing these proposals. So in summary, the best grant opportunity is the one that moves your research program forward. So wherever you are, the next step forward is going to be funded by some mechanism, whether that's a internal award, a foundation award, seed money, or an NIH or NSF award. And that's all I have. So thank you for your attention, and let me know if you have any questions.